It has now been confirmed that Michael Beale will be the new QPR head coach following the departure of Mark Warburton. It will be the former Aston Villa and Rangers assistant head coach's first job as the manager or head coach of a first team. But what do we know about his ideas on football and the tactics that he prefers? West London Sport looks into how QPR could play under their new boss. As this is Beale's first job in charge of a first team, there is no previous track record to go off of when trying to work out exactly how he likes his teams to play. But under Steven Gerrard at Rangers and Aston Villa, the 41-year-old spoke of the huge responsibility he was given to coach the team, and we can see at least some of his ideas on the way he likes to play from his time coaching at the two clubs. Let's look at his most recent job first. Under Gerrard and Beale, Villa predominantly used two formations, a 4-3-3 or 4-3-2-1 with two attacking number 10 type players, and a diamond formation with a front two and an attacking midfielder in behind. The first formation was Gerrard's preferred option, while we saw the latter used later on in the season as the former Liverpool captain sought to turn around a poor run of form. The 4-3-3 or 4-3-2-1 system is particularly interesting because it draws parallels to the way QPR played last season. While Mark Warburton instead chose to set up with a back three or a back five, he often used Chris Willock and Ilias Chair as two narrow attacking midfielders in behind a lone striker, much like Philip Coutinho and Emi Buendia operating behind Ollie Watkins at Villa from January onwards. Beale's experience in coaching the system could help to get the best out of QPR's most creative attacking players and could allow them to thrive in the same team, as they did at times last season. Glasgow Rangers opted for a similar system during Gerrard and Beale's time at the club, though with the two behind the striker often operating more as forwards than midfielders while playing slightly wider. There are some consistent themes across Gerrard's reign at both clubs which we could see Beale take to QPR with him. The fullbacks proved to be vital to the way both sides played during Gerrard's time as manager, and were more like wingbacks than conventional fullbacks. An emphasis was placed on building attacks from out wide and then overloading wide areas through the fullback, number 10 and central midfielders to create crossing opportunities or to penetrate the gap inside of the fullback and central defender. Gerrard's system has often looked like a 2-3-5 in attack, with the fullbacks encouraged to get forward and create width in an otherwise narrow system. The two central defenders and the holding midfielder would then sit back, with two box-to-box, energetic and more attack-minded central midfielders playing more advanced. Gerrard's style at both clubs can be described as possession-based. Even though Villa were not among the top possession sides in the Premier League last season, there was a focus on building from the back in those wide areas before eventually working the ball into those number 10s and focusing on overloads to create opportunities. Out of possession, there was an emphasis on pressing to win the ball back, trying to force the ball out wide so that possession could then be regained. As the change in formation when Villa's results dropped off showed, Gerrard and Beale were open to new ideas and were not set on one system and one way of playing. While we can learn a lot about Beale's ideas from his time at Villa and Rangers, it was ultimately Gerrard making the final calls and giving Beale his instructions for the way he wanted the team to play, along with input from his coaching staff. Naturally, there will be things Beale would like to change, and we can also get a sense of how he will organise the team from what he has said publicly in the past. Upon being appointed at QPR, Beale said this in his interview with the club on his vision for the team.
Well, I want to be a front foot coach. I want it to be high intensity in and out of possession.
Beale has often spoken of his desire to play attacking and entertaining football. And in this interview with the coach's voice while still at Rangers, he stressed the importance of creating the overloads we have seen so often at the clubs he has coached at, and also gave an indication of his preferred shape in midfield.
I think it's what fits your group at different times, but I like to play with one midfielder that's mainly more defending, because again, it comes back to wanting to play with high energy and attacking football. So I like to play with one that maybe sits. I think if you play with two, I think it might limit the amount of players you can get in that back line. And ultimately, the game's about scoring more goals than the opponents. You'd like to do it through lovely football, as we know, but I think that the more pressure you put the other team's centre-backs under. I also think it's very interesting, Dave, that we've gone through a generation of centre-backs playing against one striker, where years ago it used to be 4-4-2, so the defenders were used to defending man for man. I like to try and overload the other team's centre-backs 3v2, 4v2. So that's key. So it's hard for me to do that if I have 2 sitting midfielders.
But as also mentioned in that clip, ultimately Beale has indicated that he adopts a pragmatic approach to management, which is based on the unique abilities and weaknesses of the squad in question. He comes across as someone who is open to new ideas and relishes solving problems on the pitch by implementing those new ideas, rather than sticking to a specific formation or style.
I think Tuchel deserves real praise because his Paris Saint-Germain team of last year that got to the Champions League final was a fantastic one, but it's completely different to his Chelsea team, which I think that shows you the real art of coaching, that you go into an environment and you implement what's best for the group and the players rather than having a set way. The leader for that for me is Carlo Ancelotti. He's been doing that for the last 20 years to great success.
So based on what we've already seen from the teams Beale has coached, and from what he has said in public previously, we can draw some conclusions from what we're likely to see at QPR next season. It's highly possible that we could see a return to 4 at the back next season, specifically a 4-3-2-1 formation which has been used so heavily over his time at both Rangers and Villa, given the importance of getting the club's 2 talented number 10s in Willock and Cher both into the team. Those in charge of the club have spoken about style of play being a key reason for the appointment of Beale, in order to build on Warburton's possession-based style, and Beale's previous comments and experience align with the vision of a possession-based team which looks to play on the front foot. All the signs suggest QPR will be attacking next season. Attacking fullbacks could also be a key focal point of the attack to create overloads, but that looks like a potential problem for QPR at this moment in time, given the lack of them in the squad. And the new boss will also need some additions up top with an injury-plagued and out of sorts Lyndon Dykes and the returning Macaulay Bonne as his only 2 senior strikers at present. But while we know some of Beale's ideas and can draw conclusions based on his previous coaching experience, ultimately his pragmatic approach to management means QPR could well spring a few surprises next season, things we have not seen at his previous clubs while coaching under Gerrard. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel.